G'day, my name's Callum Brown. I'm the Managing Director of Green Cabs, New Zealand's youngest, freshest, most environmentally friendly taxi company.
Kua puta ia Callum Brown he āhua hou ki te ao tekehi I te whakatunga mai o te uepu Green Cabs.
Green Cabs is pure and simply an environmentally friendly taxi company. We only run Toyota Prius hybrids and we offset the emissions from our vehicles through our tree planting program. I'd spent 10 years in the IT industry taking taxis. A lot of that travel, it was just me, and I was getting into big Ford Fairlanes or always big cars, and I'd become acutely aware of the sheer number of taxis on the road. I was actually sitting at Wellington Airport waiting for my other half to pick me up because I was wanting to save on a taxi fare. I was sitting there watching all the taxis go past, and it kind of dawned on me that none of them were environmentally friendly. If there was that option, I'd definitely take it. I thought, oh, okay, maybe there's something in there.
Kai tini hia te ao tekehi a koa ke nei, he oe no nā te kaha tō tarawāhi rua o ngā whakaro o tēnā me tēnā mo te āhua rangi, ka whakaro o te tangata, e kore pēr e tutuki te moi a whakaora mai anō I te āhua rangi.
Before I started Green Cab, I was a huge climate change skeptic because I was very much of the opinion of, well, you know, you've been taking temperatures for, 100 years? How can you tell me that, we've got this global warming problem or climate change? Al Gore's inconvenience record was quite an eye-opener, and I could see the science behind it. In the past 12 months or 18 months, in New Zealand there's been 2 instances, one in Cambridge and one in New Plymouth, where there's been tornadoes that have gone through and ripped through houses and stuff like that and caused massive amounts of devastation. What's going on? Green Cabs, it's a young, fresh, exciting company. Our drivers share the vision that we do. I like the phrase, take only photographs, leave only footprints. It's not only what we do now, but it's what we leave for our children.
He waka hybrid te Toyota Prius, ka haere mā te pūkaha mā te pūhiko rānei. Kua rango nā whānui tia tēnei waka, hei waka tia ki tai ao, a kei ngā mākete e nei waka e hoko ana.
When we decided to do Green Cabs, we knew that we wanted to have one flagship vehicle. I did some in-depth analysis on what the options were that were out there, and we settled on basically 3 vehicles at the time. The Toyota Prius was the one that checked all the boxes though. It had the luggage space, it had the power, same as the 2.5 litre Camry, it had the rear legroom, it had the same amount of rear legroom as what's in a Ford Falcon. They're not big, huge sedans running 4-litre engines. When we open up the car and we show them inside, they are really, really surprised at just how much space they do have. Toyota Prius has 2 motors. One is your standard 1.5 litre petrol engine. The other one is a 50 kilowatt electric motor, which also runs off a battery pack. There's a very clever computer in the Toyota Prius that monitors what the vehicle is doing and determines how much power it needs at that point in time. So like if you're travelling at low speeds, it might determine that you only need to travel on just the electric motor. And if you need a lot of power or you're going up a hill or something, then it can use both the electric motor and the petrol engine at the same time and give you an extra boost in basically the same amount of power as a 2.5 litre Camry. But obviously it's much more fuel efficient because it doesn't have to do that all the time. So if you're going downhill, for example, or if you're braking, it's generating energy for that battery to then drive the electric motor. At today's prices, you're probably looking at $70 to fill it up. You get anywhere between 700 to 1,000 Ks depending on how good, efficient your driving is. I've driven from Wellington to Auckland in one of these and still had quarter of a tank left when I got there. Very, very cool little cars. It had the distinctive shape that we wanted as well. And it looks great in green, so there you go. In the Wellington fleet now we've got 50. So we've had really good response from drivers and really strong growth.
Nā Green Cabs ngā whakaro hoi nei I hari ake ki Aotearoa, engari kaore anō kia hari kua noa te katoa.
My background's not been in the taxi industry. I spent 10 years in IT before this. So, I've come in here and we've set up Green Cabs, and the response from the taxi industry is It's been a mixture of, well, why didn't we think of that? To who does this guy think he is? You know, the taxi industry is very much a cutthroat industry and an old boys club. And, you know, that's not what Green Cabs is about. You know, we're definitely wanting to change that image. The response from the general public has been awesome. We've had a huge amount of support from all ages, different groups, doesn't matter, businesses, students, just the general public. I mean, even if you're not into the environment, you'd take one because of the fact that it's got a nice, comfortable interior. Or you'd take one because you want a driver who's been through the training and provides really good service. Or you'd take one because of the fact that we're about 20% cheaper and sometimes up to 30% cheaper than a lot of the other taxi companies out there. Or, of course, you know, the obvious reason you do care about the environment and you like the fact that we plant trees to offset our carbon emissions, and you would prefer to do your taxi travel in a hybrid vehicle rather than the standard gas guzzling Holden or Falcon or whatever.
Me te nui o ngā kupu maka pēnei I te carbon neutral me te uka, ko te ia o te ao umangai nai nei, me whai huarahi kia whakaine te tapu wai konga o te uepu.
Green Cabs prefer to plant trees, much prefer to plant trees than buy carbon credits, because the thing with carbon credits, and this is what a lot of people don't realise, is that the projects that you're buying carbon credits for have already been completed. In our view, one of the key things to combat climate change is actually tree planting. We've sponsored villages in Ethiopia, Senegal and in the Philippines. Put it this way, we've planted enough trees to more than offset the carbon emissions from our vehicles. Basically, it's just about being open, upfront and honest about what your company does and letting the consumer make up their own mind, and that's what we try to do here with Green Cabs.
Kua rite te kaupapa o Green Cabs ki tō tērā I roto I te hāngangatanga mai o te motoka Prius sa Toyota. Kia heke te pūtanga o ngā kino, kia whakanui ake te kaha o te konga, kia noho utu kore ki te kaihoko.
We can run cheaper and have cheaper rates than the other companies because it costs about a third to run a hybrid vehicle than it does a normal vehicle, so the operating costs are significantly lower. So as a result, we can basically just pass those savings on to the consumer.
He rere ke ngā whakaaro o tēnā me tēnā, mō ngā take nei te tia ki tai ao.
Our operations manager, our fleet manager, I mean, he's got a worm farm and composting at his house, and I'm still struggling to make sure I recycle properly, but I'll get there, but, you know, so I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just being conscious about it and thinking about what can I do to make things better. I would like to get to a point where if you take a taxi, it is a hybrid vehicle. And I think it's probably going to take more than 5 years to get to that point where we're all running environmentally friendly vehicles, but that's what I would really like to see happen. You know, I reckon this is the greatest country in the world. I want New Zealand to be seen as being the most sustainable country in the world, the cleanest country in the world, the greenest country in the world. And we need to be conscious of the choices that we make and how our choices impact on the environment that we live in. If everybody makes small changes, then the overall sum total of all those changes adds up to be quite a huge thing.